Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Yes, sir. All right. Welcome. This is that Josh and Billy show. I am Josh,
I'm Bailey.
and we are two bros who disagree on a lot of things, but have one thing in common. That's our love for sports. So,
Yes, sir.
I guess a little bit about me. I'm 25, and I grew up in Princeton, Minnesota. Small town farm kid. Played sports, football, track, wrestling, all the way up until college, where I ran track only, and then after that, I've just been a washed-up bench player. So,
I'm 24, also from Princeton, Minnesota. Not a farm kid, not my thing. Also played sports, played football, basketball, baseball. Played football throughout school. Quit basketball and baseball, I think my sophomore year. Played football in college for a year. And yeah, also just a washed up athlete.
so we're just kind of like two peas out of the same pod, basically. Yeah. Well, okay, so a little bit more about Bailey. So I met this kid through my friend John. So the very first time I met him, I thought he was just a little rat. I didn't like him at all, but that was mostly because you were hanging out with John. I like John, so
Yeah.
shout out our boy John.
Shout out to
We
John.
love you. But yeah, I mean, ever since then, I think we really picked it up in after high school for
After
sure.
high
No,
school,
during
for sure.
football. During football, we were kind of
Yeah.
tight
Yeah.
like that, and then after football, after high school, you went to do your thing. I went to do my thing, and then we met up in Cloud through Hickson.
They're Hickson.
Which shout out our boy Hickson.
Shout out to Hicks.
We still have love for Hicks. But yeah, and then we were just booling for probably about 3 years, 4 years, and
Yeah, hasn't stopped. Almost every weekend. So
every weekend.
oh my god, it's
I
best.
said every time I say I'm staying in, I'm out in the streets.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't even say it last week.
Oh yeah, I'll hit this kid up and be like, oh, I'm not coming out, and next thing you know, he's at my house. So
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
It's yeah. Anyway, so the reason that we're here is obviously we love sports. We were a little bit late. We were 1 week late on the jump. Our preview week, we were busy. I mean, you were busy. You had a wedding.
Weddings, man.
Yeah, and
So
shout out Mitch and Paige, dude. We're just like giving love to everybody.
oh,
everybody's getting it right now. Everybody.
Yeah, no, wedding was fun, but yeah, definitely a busy week. We're actually watching the fourth quarter of the Bills and
Buffalo murder of Miami.
Yeah, Thursday night, week 2. So
Thursday night, week 2.
speaking of
Last Thursday.
start of the NFL season.
Started.
I was so excited at work. I just couldn't stop thinking about football season.
I love football. I actually, so don't hate me for this. I just got a Mahomes jersey. I just did.
He has like 4 favorite teams, so I
love
I
football.
can't hate.
I love football.
I can't hate. But
I love it.
So kind of looking at the recap of week 1.
It was a rough week for everybody. Things kind of went as planned, though. I mean, I think we talked a little bit before about who needs wins and who doesn't necessarily. I mean, I guess who's kind of where we thought they would be.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say, well, I guess I'll ask you right away. What was your biggest surprise of week 1?
Ooh, my biggest surprise of week 1, I would say it was probably the Bengals.
Okay.
I think just how much hype surrounding not just like the entire Bengals team, but Joe Burrow, number 1 pick, has a Super Bowl appearance, but the way that team got dismantled by New England was my biggest surprise.
I mean, it's just like you said, like the 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. You're not that far off from the Super Bowl. Why is it now? And even last year, like at the start of last year, it's like they have a 4-week purgatory where they just are not a good football team. And
week 5 is when Joe Burrow becomes the best player in the league.
dude, blonde tip Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah, we'll see how that goes. But
I mean, another big surprise for me, Caleb Williams sucks.
yeah, he was
Absolutely
bad.
sucks.
What do you have, 54 yards at halftime, something like that?
I was gonna throw him in as one of my on the bench nominees, just because it's like, dude, You are the number one pick. You've been hyped up for 2 years. You would have gone number one last year too.
Yeah.
And you throw 94 yards. If Will Levis doesn't throw that pick, they lose that game.
Oh,
probably by 20.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, no, the Bears. I mean, you hear it every year. Kind of like for us being NFC North fans, it kind of reminds me of the Cowboys. But you hear it every year that this is our season from the Bears, and moving off Mitch Trubisky to Justin Fields, and now Justin Fields to Caleb Williams, kind of seems like it's just a carousel of bad quarterback play in Chicago.
I just can't with Chicago as a team. It's just they're just so up and down as far as
I think they did all the right things all this offseason.
They want to be good so bad.
I think they did all the right things. I mean, they had a solid draft. They brought in Keenan Allen into that receiving core, drafting dogs, absolutely.
Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yes, sir. But I think they did all the right things, but it is just going to come down to how Caleb Williams plays throughout the rest of the season.
I think there was a lot of close games in week 1. Houston, Indy, definitely. I was teetering. I was like, is Indy a fraud? Yeah. Are they fraudsters? Detroit, LA, my favorite team. Mm-hmm. I was nervous, dude. In that fourth quarter, I was nervous. I was not feeling good. I was like, dude, they're driving too well. Like, I've seen Matthew Stafford do this before. He snapped his shoulder and done this. So I was nervous going in that. But then Montgomery, baby, come on, feed him.
Another close game. My Green Bay Packers over in Brazil taking on the Philadelphia Eagles.
It was a good game.
It was a good game. Lost our quarterback at the end there, not really knowing. You're kind of hearing two different things about Love and whether it's going to be a day. LaFleur saying it's a day-to-day thing where most things with MCL or the MCL strain.
I've had that.
Yeah.
3
to 4 or 3 to 6.
I mean, I was like 15, so I don't have that much experience about it, and he's getting world class help.
Right.
But no, I think I didn't get to watch too much, but the last half, just because I was out watching football with my dad. So, what is your Green Bay takeaway? Ooh, I like that.
I mean, going up against Philly, I think Philly last year, they rough end of the season. People weren't really high on them coming into the season, but the acquisition of Saquon puts that offense over the top. Even though he scored 3 touchdowns, I do think that Green Bay held their own. There wasn't a point where either team really got up and nobody was really fighting to come back.
It wasn't one of those games where it's like, dude, they're just fighting for their lives. Like, Green Bay was in that game the whole time. Like, if anything, it was their game to lose. Yeah. And then at the end there, you just can't stop Saquon. No. You just can't.
Jalen Hurts found his rhythm.
He was back. He was looking good. Dude, I like that team. I think they're going to be a good team. I think that
they're a good team.
They've got a high ceiling. I think they could easily make their way back to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, I thought it was a really good game. And then, unfortunately, Jordan Love got hurt, which I have him in my fantasy, so I actually do mean it. I think he's one of those rising quarterbacks, and kind of like what we were talking about off camera, where it's like you've got this new prototypical quarterback. I think he's one of those guys.
Let's see here. Kind of a big game that I was looking forward to watching was the Dallas-Cleveland game.
Yes.
Definitely didn't end
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady's first game in the boot. Nah, pay Greg Olsen, man.
R.I.P.
Definitely a game that I thought would have been
a lot closer.
Yeah, for sure. But I think we saw, Deshaun Watson kind of doing his thing and not being able to live up to his Houston days.
But dude, what happened to Deshaun? If anybody needs a win, that guy needs a win.
I think there's a lot going on.
That guy needs a win.
Yeah,
dude, mentally he's probably not there anymore.
That Dallas defense, solid. It's the same Dallas defense. I mean, you get back Trey Diggs.
Yeah, you add Eric Kendricks back with Mike Zimmer.
Yep,
dude, underrated.
Mike Zimmer defense.
Yes, no, Eric Kendricks.
No, Eric Kendricks, yeah.
Underrated. Yeah, he's what, 31, 32?
Yeah.
still a dog. Like, still can cover, still can get there. My biggest thing watching that game is Dak that good? Maybe. Is CD that good? Maybe.
Is
but
Dak,
together,
yeah, is Dak worth the
$60 million a year?
200, was it 260 over
It's
4?
too much.
Too much.
I love Dallas. I love Dak. I love everything over there. It's just that, we see it every year with them. Like, they're good, and then they're not.
Yeah.
They're blowing teams out, and then they get blown out. It's just like, Cleveland is a good team. Their defense is obviously top 5, top 10. They'll figure it out. They'll be fine. Stefanski's a good coach, and whatever's going on in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, I think they can manage it. So, I'm not looking too worried about that. But I do want to hit one really quick underrated game. Okay. Bo Nix looks good.
Bo Nix
looks good.
I didn't catch the Denver game. I didn't watch any of the highlights, so I guess I didn't get to see.
He looked like. He didn't look like a rookie like Caleb Williams did. He looked, if there was a happy medium, I would say he's there. Okay. I would say he's obviously he's like 40 for a rookie. Right. He's 24. But he didn't, he stepped up into the pocket. He made some mistakes. Obviously you're going to as a rookie. It wasn't like he was forcing it. He wasn't, doing anything that he shouldn't be doing as a rookie. I think he looked good. I think he'll be okay. I hate to say it just because I hate Sean Payton and I hate Denver. Obvious reasons, 09. But, give him some credit. He looked better than I thought he would. I really thought he'd be a bust, but he didn't look like a bust. So I'll give him that. Who do you got for this week? What are you thinking about this week?
So for the Thursday night, which we're finishing up right now, I took Buffalo.
Yep. I did not.
We'll see. Obviously, the Tua injury. We'll see what happens with him. That was, at this point in his career, like,
dude,
what do you do?
He's like a target. I honestly do feel bad for him because he is a great player. Like, he's a great athlete. He's got a huge arm. He's left-handed. I love that. But dude, you're going to end up like AB at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're going to get that CTE brain like that. Like, it's not going to be pretty. So
my next game that I had highlighted was the Jets at Tennessee. This was my pick for a team that needs a win. Reason being for that pick is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Obviously, last year, 4 plays into his Jets career, tears his Achilles.
Yep. And this week wasn't much better. You're going against San Francisco.
But with this division, the Bills moving on to 2-0, I think that's a team to beat in that division. Has been for a couple of years now. Miami,
they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out.
But if the Jets want to stay competitive in that division, I think that they need to prove it, especially against a team like Tennessee. Because if they go out and lose to the Titans, it's not looking good for Aaron Rodgers. It's not.
And I hate to say it, but because it's so early in the season, it's hard to tell. Yeah, it's so hard to tell. But like you said, like, you go out and you lose to Tennessee in Tennessee, what's your crutch? Like, what are you going to lean on? You have a more talented roster. You have a better offense. You have a great defense. Yeah. Tennessee's working with Will Levis and, their first-year head coach. Yep. Yeah. Their defense isn't horrible. They do have Tony Pollard now. They're not like the worst team in the league, but it is a game that when you're looking at the schedule, that's a gimme game. I
should be, yeah,
especially
for a team like New York.
Exactly, and so a game that obviously everybody's gonna be watching, but it's a big one is Cincinnati, Kansas City.
Yeah,
I think we're on the same page about it.
I got Kansas City.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, even though they're not same divisions, definitely become a rivalry.
Yes. Yeah.
But as they were my kind of surprise performance of the week 1, not in a good way. They need to step it up.
Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe Burrow needs to figure it out sooner rather than later. Not get, 2-3 games below 500 to start the year.
Whose fault is it if you lose to Kansas City? Like, I mean, really, like,
the games that the games that they've played against Kansas City in the past have been competitive.
But who do you blame for the Baltimore loss? Who do you blame for the San Francisco loss?
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean, Kansas City is that team.
They are.
Team.
I mean, you're
You're
back
chasing
to back.
Kansas City.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, I mean, everybody knows it. Yeah, Tyreek is the number one player on the top 100, but no, it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can keep up with them, I think you can win that game, but I do not expect Cincinnati to keep up with them. I do think that this is a prove-it moment for Joe Burrow.
Yep.
You've beaten him twice in the past. You've lost to him once to go to the Super Bowl. If you beat him again, you're back where you need to be. If you lose to him again, like I told you before, question marks. Question marks. Really quick, underrated game that I really want to see play out, Atlanta-Philly.
Monday night?
Yeah.
I have Philly for that game.
Yeah.
I think Philly's such a great team. I took them over the Packers last week. Hurt me, but I did.
Good pick.
Good pick. But biggest question mark coming from that game is going to be Kirk Cousins.
I love it. I love that he's bad. I love that he's playing bad. I mean, I wanted him to do so good in Minnesota. Like, I did. I really did.
I didn't.
And then he took the money, and I'm like, dude, this is what you get.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, dog. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe not a dog, but he played really good. So, played better than Kirko.
But Kirk, 148 passing yards.
He was one of my OTB nominees as well.
Yeah. We'll see if that's in a division. You're chasing Tampa, but that's a wide open division.
Yes.
So,
New Orleans looked good.
But they also play the Panthers.
So?
If Derek Carr's, if he's going to be that guy.
If you put up 47 points on anybody, yes, it'll probably be Panthers, but you still put up 47 points.
But
at home, Derek Carr,
I will take Philly. At home, Monday night, prime time. I just off the performances, Drake London on the bench.
Dude,
not what you want to see. Not what you want to see from your number one receiver. Bijan got to get the run game figured out. Kyle Pitts got a touchdown, which you don't really hear
ever. I think that's like his 7th all time forever. Infinity.
Yep.
Such a dog, dude. They need to move him. They need to move him somewhere. Put him out wide. He's a wide out.
So getting into our divisional games, we'll start off with the big game. We have San Fran at Minnesota. What do you got?
My heart wants to say Minnesota, but I know that it is San Francisco's game. I mean, it's just they run the ball well. What's his name?
Jordan Mason popped off week 1 without.
Don't even need to freaking just put on a jersey, get behind that line, and run the ball. Go. Dude, I think Minnesota. I think they are better than we thought. I think even as a fan, I think they're better than I thought. Mm-hmm. I was definitely giving them 7, 6, whatever wins. I think they could make the playoffs with the Green Bay thing. So looking ahead for Minnesota, let me see. So they've got San Francisco, Houston, Green Bay, right? If they win 2 of those games, they're in the hunt. Spot. They're in the hunt because then they have New York at home. They have the bye. Then they have Detroit and LA. Tough games, but let's say you win 2 of those games. Now you're at what, 4-2, 5-3, something like that.
You're in the hunt for sure.
So this is definitely a morale booster. I think the confidence you have going into this week from Sam Darnold is really, 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 really high.
I think we'll see.
Hot take. Where's Jets? One catch, one tutty.
Yeah.
You're the greatest receiver in the league. I don't feel that way right now. I feel like there are some guys creeping up on you a little bit. Tyreek nearly goes to jail, comes up. CD,
If you say that Tyreek's behind Jefferson,
you're kidding yourself right now.
He's there. Tyreek's there. Offensive player of the year. CD, I'm not ready to crown CD, even though he had the year that he did last year. I'm not ready to crown CD, but I think it's a race between Jefferson and Hill.
But for me, last week, JJ, looked average quarter, average. You know, I don't know. I hot take. I don't think he's, as of last week, I don't think he's the best in the league.
Ooh. So next we got Chicago Bears heading to Houston. I believe that's the Sunday night matchup.
Dude, I love CJ Stroud, so
I'm
sketch.
taking Houston.
Sketch. We love you. No, I think Houston is I think last week they were a little rocky. They let Indianapolis linger a little bit longer than they should. How much of that is because they're divisional rivals? They know each other so well. Obviously, You're going to play a little bit better. I think this week they bounce back. Chicago, their defense is good. They have good players. Jalen Johnson, stud. But it's Houston. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-score game. I'd be more surprised if it was a close game.
Yep.
Caleb Williams, you're used to the big spotlight, so maybe you play a little bit better. Maybe you use your weapons a little bit more. Rome, you're kind of in the same boat. You've been in the playoffs for CFB for a couple of years, so I think you should be used to that spotlight. Keenan Allen, you're a dog. DeAndre Swift, where are you? Dead. Probably. I mean, you got to run the ball too. I mean, that, Caleb Williams is going to get eaten alive by Danielle Hunter. They've got, who else? Will Anderson. They're gonna eat. The boys are gonna send. D'Amico is a good coach. He's gonna send them. He was a part of that San Francisco team that went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Everything's pointing Houston. I'm gonna point Houston.
Yep. Just off that performance from Caleb last week, there's nothing going for that offense unless Caleb, plays like the number 1 overall pick, and right now he's not on that track. So I'm going to take Houston. Moving on to the next game is the Indianapolis Colts heading to Lambeau Field to take on my Green Bay Packers. Now, I took Philly week 1.
Yeah, are you gonna take him? Are you gonna take Indy? Malik Willis, is he the guy? Josh Jacobs.
Now, if Jordan Love was playing, my pick would be different. But
whoa,
I am going to take Indianapolis to beat Green Bay in Lambeau for the home opener.
Dude, I met a kid at the bar, and he's like, one of my best life experiences was going to Lambeau Field, and that stuck with me. He was hammered, obviously, but still, it's like, for somebody to say that at a Detroit fan, I forgot to mention that, but to say that, a home game in Green Bay is a lot different than a home game in Indianapolis. So, I'm surprised. I really am. I did not think you were going to pick Indy, because Green Bay. Yeah, Jordan Love went down, but you still have Josh Jacobs. You still have studs on defense. I mean, I'm going to try to convince you right now that you should pick Green Bay, because I'm going to pick Green Bay. I mean,
I'm sticking
Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson, dog, he's just an athlete. He's a freak athlete, but there's more to the game than just being a good athlete. There's more to the game than just having the right people in the right places. And I think that Green Bay is more used to the extras. They're used to having that back against the wall. I mean, they played Detroit twice last year. They played San Francisco, almost beat them. They did beat Dallas. They're even though, their main guy is gone, he's not dead. So he's going to be on the side. He's going to be in the practice. He's going to be in walkthroughs. I think, LaFleur, great coach, won 13 games, 3 seasons in a row. I think, all that to say, Green Bay all the way. Yeah, I'm taking them. I'll take them any day. I think it's crazy to me that you'd pick
with your, with that mention of going to Lambeau Field, I will tell you. So I've been to Lambeau, I think, 5-6 times, and it doesn't change. It's, when it comes to the football world, it's
he said it. He said, that's what he said. He said
it's the Mecca.
He said, because it was a snow game that he went to against Detroit or something, and he's like, it was just watching the snow fall. It's such a vibe. It's such a aura. It's just, it is football. When you get to town, it is football. Green Bay bleeds green and gold, and so he was getting me fired up. I was like, dude, are you trying to hit on me? What are you doing? Dude, I'm freaking out. This is awesome. So I mean, definitely, I would love to go. I think
Detroit Packer games here,
dude.
I like it.
I'm here. I mean, 5-hour drive, I'll take it as long as my boys get the dub. I don't really care. But no, I think Green Bay is title town, and I hate to say it just because you're here, but you know they are a good team, and I do, in the smallest little blackest corner of my heart, kind of like them.
So last game for
Tampa.
the division. Tampa Bay taking.
Talk about my team, boy. Talk about my team.
Detroit.
Talk about my
Lions. So I'm taking Detroit over Tampa. I do like Baker and what that Tampa Bay team is doing. What they did in Week 1 showed that they are, I believe, to be the team to beat in that South Division.
Yes,
but I mean it's Detroit. This isn't the same Detroit that we grew up on. This is
ain't 0-16.
This is a different culture. Dan Campbell, what he's done for Detroit's franchise has been, honestly, from a Packer fan's perspective, I mean, it's been amazing to watch. Growing up, it was the 0-16. You had Megatron, but outside of that,
what did we had? Nobody. We had Sue for a little bit.
Sue,
like, see,
right.
that's the thing. Like, we had these good players.
Good.
Like, we had good players.
Not
like,
great.
No,
Not
I mean, Matt Stafford was probably the best thing to happen during the 10s.
Yep.
CJ was obviously the best receiver that ever graced this earth.
Yep.
But, it just never worked out. Like, you'd have these sprints where it's like, okay, they start off 1-4, and then you get to 6-6, and then you get to 8-6, and then all of a sudden you start to fall apart.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the hunt for so long. They were never really a bottom feeder past 2012, I'd say. They were never really a bottom feeder, but before that, during the John Kitna days, during the freaking, the early Matt Stafford days when they had Roy Williams on the team, like there was nothing.
Yeah.
It was a place where you went to die, like Barry Sanders, like the greatest running back of all time. Like you went there to die.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Detroit, I mean, growing up, it was exactly that. It was just, the team that, we had always had great games growing up.
Yeah.
Even recent.
Like the Hail Mary, obviously. That's kind of what sparked it. Sue kicking dudes in the face.
Yeah. But Detroit was, for me as a Packer fan, even going into the games, it was just, didn't matter how good they were, how bad they were. It was just never really a team that we thought about.
No.
But now Dan Campbell comes in, he promises change, changes it. A couple years ago,
football guy.
A couple years ago, finishing around that 500 mark, beating us in week 18 and knock us out of the playoffs, and then coming back last year, winning the division.
Dude, I predicted that. I put it on my story the day that we beat you when Jamal Williams, got that dog in me. Yeah. It's all dog up in this.
They're the team to beat in the North right now.
Yes, I think they're the team to beat in the NFC right now. San Francisco is good.
Philly,
I do like Philly.
Yeah.
I do like Philly a lot.
But I'm taking Detroit this week against Tampa. So
NFC North. Okay, so Bailey, explain to me a little bit about what on the bench means. What is our on the bench? I've mentioned it a few times. You mentioned it once or twice. And so what is it, Bailey? Just tell me, what is it? What is an on the bench player?
So our on the bench players are players that did not live up to expectations. My mention earlier was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did not.
He did not
have
up
a good
to
game.
potential. No, he did not have a great game. Yeah, and I second that. I think, and I told you this earlier too. Like I saw it where it's like, is he really that good? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is he really that good? He hasn't been that good in a while, long enough for it to be a real question, long for it to be reasonable. A guy who I also had on the list, who is a big shock, Travis Kelce.
Where's Travis?
Travis Kelce. I mean, yeah, he arguably top 2 greatest tight end of all time, if not number 1. But I really didn't see that Travis Kelce flair that I'm used to seeing. And maybe it's because Xavier Worthy and Rasheed are picking up some of the slack, and that's kind of what Andy Reid's been saying is the goal, is they want to get that deep ball back. But Travis Kelce,
Yeah.
He's still.
I mean, he's getting up there though. I mean,
34.
Yeah. I mean, he's still Mr. Consistent. Like, he's going to get you those third down catches, everything like that. But obviously, with the outside stuff, his personal life, there's a lot going on for Travis Kelce land right now. Him and Jason signing the $100 million deal with their podcast. There's a lot going on outside of football for Travis.
I love that for him.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was actually kind of surprised. I was surprised that he didn't
hang him up
with Jason. Go live his life
how
with
perfect
T
would
Swift.
that be? Yeah, how perfect would that be? You hang him up with your brother.
Oh yeah, but I think the biggest thing is coming off 2 straight Super Bowls. You want that third. You want that third.
If they don't win it, I could see him hanging him up just because. So my number one nominee played terrible. I watched all of his game. They're going to get him killed if they run the ball like that. Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. To be paid $100 and whatever million the day after, or at least like a month after you win your first playoff game, is so absurd to me. Because, and even Jordan Love, as much as I like Jordan Love, I still think it's such a dumb idea to sign a quarterback to that type of money after this much execution.
Proven
exactly. Because you end up with a guy like Daniel Jones, 44.3 QBR, took 5 sacks, went 0 for 2, touchdowns, interceptions. Like, dude, it's one thing to be a bad quarterback. It's another thing to be a bad franchise signing bad quarterbacks.
And that's a bad franchise.
It's a bad franchise over there.
I think ever since their was that yacht picture before their Green Bay playoff game?
Yeah, OBJ.
It went downhill fast.
Dude, just watching that game, it's just like, that is a bad football team. Dexter Lawrence, you are a great player. I love it. You got to get out of there, buddy. Like, if there was ever a time to request a trade, this is the time. Bryant Burns, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you're a good player. Don't shoot yourself in the head going there. Like,
you go from probably the worst team to
an even worse team. Yeah, jeez.
My number 2 for my on the bench player of the week, and you're not gonna like this, but I think you'll understand with my choice of Amon-Ra.
I knew it. I hate you.
Where was Amon-Ra? Why was there just no scheme for him to get into the game? Were they looking different ways? What happened? You pay.
Trey White was on him like a sticker. Yeah. Like, it was not.
But being a top receiver, you got to find ways to get involved.
I mean, yeah, no, for sure. I'm not taking that as an excuse or anything. I just think that, Jameson Williams was getting the looks. Jameson Williams was open. Jameson Williams did take advantage of it.
Shout out to J-Mo.
Dog.
Got the game ball.
Yep, got the game ball. Had 121 receiving yards. Had a pretty nice day on my bench, fantasy. But no, I think Amon, there's an opportunity for him. When there's an opportunity for him, it just wasn't that day. I think he'll be fine. I don't think it's
100%.
I don't think it's anything. Yeah, but definitely not the way you want to start. No, definitely not the way you want to start your season off, because that is then how you get to that point. You string a couple of bad games along. They get Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, not necessarily a great cornerback depth. I think they have do they still have Sean Murphy? Bunting, I think they re-signed him. They have Antoine Winfield, rep Minnesota. You're gonna be a similar type situation. You're gonna have that, that cover safety over top. You're gonna get that double man look. It's not gonna be easy on your side. They're gonna bring some extra guys. They've still got some dogs out there. It's gonna be another tough game for him to get open. However, I don't see it being like that. I think, LA had 4 months to prep for him, and you've got to be thinking in that room, Sean McVay or whoever's running that defense is saying, look, he is not beating us today. They're going to have to find a way to beat us, and it's not going to be him. And I think, in Tampa, it's going to be the same thing. I think they're going to say, hey, look, he is their premier guy. He is what they're going to be going to. J-Mo, now you're going to be getting some looks as well. Yep. I think that maybe takes a little bit of the pressure off of him. However, it's still going to be his game.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's still going to be the circle. Like, if you're going to have a guy on the whiteboard you're circling, he's still going to be that guy. It's 14.
He's the top receiver. He got paid. That's the guy you're looking for.
That's the irony of it all, dude. As soon as everybody gets paid, they just kind of like for a little bit.
So, after week 1, who are your way too early predictions?
After week 1. I can't change my mind on it, but Buffalo does look really, really good. And maybe that's because I'm watching them live, but Buffalo does look really good. Baltimore looks really bad, not because of the way you would think, as far as they're not piecing it together. They're just not playing good ball, because they really are playing good ball. I think that they are bad because Lamar Jackson can't run the ball every day. Derrick Henry is going to have to get some touches.
Yep.
And you're not going to be, playing the same team every week. So you're going to have to be able to have different game plans. I think that the Lamar Jackson show is a great show. I love it. I love watching 8 run around. But you're going to have to find other ways to win games. I mean, Kansas City, like we said, is the greatest team in the league right now. But you're going to have to figure other ways out to win. It can't all be Lamar, because if Lamar goes down, what are you going to do? It's tough. But I think, Baltimore, I think I had it too somewhere on here. I think I had him. Yep, I had him as a 7th or a 6th seed. You're now on the opposite end. Really good looking teams. San Francisco still looks good. Detroit still looks really good. But who really popped out? For me, no one really knew. I mean,
Nobody
I think Tampa. I will say this though. I think Tampa isn't going to slide.
Okay.
I don't think they'll take too much of a step back. I think if anything, they'll take a step forward, being that Baker Mayfield is there. So maybe that would be my biggest change, is that Tampa probably wins the division again.
Okay.
Because I was all in on Atlanta. I thought Kirk Cousins, he's going to be great. Everybody's now saying his Achilles is still kind of maybe a little jacked up. So I'm going to go back to Tampa. New Orleans looks really good. If Derek Carr plays that good throughout the season, I think he's a guy that could maybe shake things up too. But Tampa is probably my biggest change. What about you?
I think I'm going to go my last 4 teams. I'm going to go back to last year. I'm going to say it's going to be the same 4 teams competing for the championship games. I'm going to take Baltimore, Kansas City. Kansas City for obvious reasons. I mean, they're the team that you're chasing. They're the best team in the league. I like Baltimore. I don't think we'll see too much of a slide. Maybe not as many wins as they had last year, but I like Lamar. I like that offense, coaching, defense, all around. A solid team. I think once they do figure out that offense, and I think it'll be sooner rather than later. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. And then on the other side, sticking with San Fran and Detroit, 2 teams that didn't make too many changes, but, they didn't have to. It's those 2 teams. That championship game was incredible.
It just pisses me off so much. One fluke ball changes that.
I think you'll be happy to hear, though, my Super Bowl prediction matchup.
Because
I do have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Detroit Lions.
Dude, no way. That is actually maybe what I had as well. I don't remember. I forgot to write it down. But
my final prediction, though, is that Kansas City completes the three-peat. First time in the modern era, three-peat. I think the last team to do it was the 65 through 67 Packers.
Yeah, but did they win 3 Super Bowls in a row, or did they win 3 NFL championships in a row?
No, 2 Super Bowls in a row.
2 Super Bowls, not 3. So it's awkward.
Well, right? We never know.
History does repeat itself.
Yeah.
So
we'll see with Kansas City, but I do think Philadelphia would definitely be in there.
I think Philly's a really good team. I really like Philly.
If they get home playoff games, that's gonna be such a hard.
That's gonna be a tough beat. Yeah, I want to say I had them winning the division. Yep, I did. Yeah. Dallas. They're a good team, but they're not. They're just so inconsistent. Yeah. They're just so stinking inconsistent. I think they lose to Philly every year for a reason. They lose in the first round every reason. Mike McCarthy. You have a lot more experience with that guy than I do, but
Yeah.
I think that he's good at winning games. He's not good at beating teams.
Yeah.
He's really good at winning games. He's not good at beating teams. And the reason I say that like that is because if Dallas plays San Francisco 10 times, I think San Francisco wins 7 or 8 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they're doing anything different throughout those games. I think that it's just he's not able to adjust fast enough.
Right.
He's not able to make the changes necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like against Jordan Love, drop back, start dropping those twos.
Yeah.
Throw it into a quarter, throw it into a 6.
Yeah, you're not
get
blitzing.
some help. Yeah, get some help out there because you're not getting to him.
Right.
And I think that's the type of coach he is, that old school mentality where it's like, I've done it this way for so long, I don't want to change. Whereas Nick Sirianni, he's a cocky guy.
Yeah.
I hate that, but
yeah, but still,
I do
he's
like
cocky,
Philly.
but he's a good coach.
I do like Philly a lot. I do.
I got 3 players here.
4?
We got 4?
Well, no, for what?
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let me know.
Got a couple quarterbacks here.
All right.
So we're going to start off with Kirk Cousins.
Duh.
So, former Viking, now in Atlanta. Tampering issues. We'll see.
Dude, I hope they get slapped.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Miami lost 2 picks.
That's true. But Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, playing his first game in Atlanta, did not have a good game. It was, I don't know, one of the, probably the worst performances I'd seen out of Kirk.
Yes.
Not getting top guys involved. Even that touchdown to Kyle Pitts, it was late. Kind of just happened to see him open, threw it to him. Didn't look like he was making good reads. The yards down.
It speaks for itself.
Right. Then we got Lamar.
Okay.
Are you in or are you out on Lamar?
I'm in just because he is a good quarterback. I mean, I talk a lot about how he's going to get killed. I talk a lot about how they need to do something else. But he is a good quarterback. And
Two MVPs speak for themselves.
Exactly. He's the prototypical quarterback. I mean, Mahomes is doing out-of-world things. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen is a big guy who likes to run people over. Brock Purdy is a systematically sound quarterback who will piece you apart. Mm-hmm. But Lamar Jackson just has something that you want.
So if you're taking any quarterback, we'll leave Pat Mahomes out of this because we all know how great Patrick Mahomes is.
Best to do it since 12.
Are you taking Lamar at 2 for quarterbacks? I think I am. I think I would take Lamar at 2. Before probably Josh Allen. I think right now before Joe Burrow for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
By what we've seen from Lamar, what he's proven. Obviously still missing a Super Bowl appearance, but I really do like Lamar being that number 2 guy.
I will for now. So my top 5 is very unorthodox. Okay, so Mahomes, yes.
Yep.
Lamar, yes. Mm-hmm. But then I go CJ.
Ooh.
I go CJ, and then I go Allen, and then I go Hurts.
Okay.
Dak is 6. And then I don't really care after that. But the reason I go Lamar then CJ, like I said, Lamar is just an athlete. He is just absolutely amazing to watch. I love watching him around. I love how fast he is. I love how he makes you second guess everything about football.
100%.
But the reason I'm hesitating on putting him at 2 is because CJ Stroud, as young as he is, 22 years old, fresh out of the womb, didn't learn cursive writing in high school or school.
I'm not gonna
has the potential to be just as good as Pat Mahomes. Not in the way you would think. I think he would be what Josh Allen isn't.
Yeah. Josh Allen, great quarterback, but I think having to live in the shadow of Mahomes, I think kind of It hurts. It hurts. Somebody like Josh Allen, where it's like, great story coming out of Wyoming,
Yep.
but definitely hurts when, you're a top quarterback in the league and you've proven it, but you're losing every year to Mahomes or,
Let me ask you this. What's the difference between the Mahomes Allen relationship and the Brady Rodgers relationship?
Like I just said, it's living in the shadow. You look at Aaron Rodgers. I think Mahomes now, from what I've seen from 2017 to now, I think, seeing how he plays the game, plays the position, definitely what you want.
Yes.
But, Rodgers, kind of, comparison with the Allen thing, I think Rodgers being in Brady's shadow because of the fact of Brady having 7 rings. But Rodgers, firsthand experience, being able to watch Rodgers for all these years, I mean, that's the perfect quarterback.
Now, be honest, though.
Yeah.
Be honest. Because I agree with you. He is the perfect quarterback. He is probably the most quarterbacky quarterback of all quarterbacks.
If you're going to ask me what I think you're going to ask me, you're going to hate my answer.
What? What do you think I'm going to ask you?
Who would you rather take?
No, I'm not going to ask you
okay.
that.
I thought you were going to.
I want to, but I already know who you take. No. What I was going to ask you is, if you take out Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl ring, what's the difference between him and Josh Allen? Aaron Rodgers doesn't win that Super Bowl. What's the difference between him and Josh Allen?
No, it's just like personal performance. I mean, he has 4 MVPs for a reason. And I mean, you look at those MVP years. Obviously, you had guys like Devontae, you had Jordy, but at the same time, behind Devontae, behind Jordy, Cobb, I mean, they're not big names. He was throwing for a couple of those years. Throwing to
freaking who knows who? Yeah,
right. Be throwing to me.
Could be. But you're, his type. So.
Right. Yeah, it's more the Belichick type. But
yeah, right.
But
yes.
I mean, I think the big difference is like Rodgers having those 4 MVPs. I mean, I think what did he have, like a 48-3 year touchdown interception. Yeah. But then again, it's not being
getting over the hump.
Getting over the hump. Never got back. Didn't even get back to a Super Bowl.
I don't even think he really had a nemesis on the NFC side, though.
No,
like
that was
nobody
nobody
was really there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Breeze maybe. Breeze was probably the closest, but they never really met up in the playoffs.
No, and that's one thing that you never got to see was a Breeze Rodgers,
Breeze Brady,
Breeze Brady, Rodgers Brady,
Breeze Manning, Brady Manning. Okay, Aaron Rodgers versus Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. Who do you take?
What teams are we taking?
Let's go.
Yeah, give me some teams.
Let's go with the 2015 Broncos.
Ooh.
And the 2020 Green Bay Packers.
I like that 2020 Green
Bay
Packers
Packers
team.
I know
that's probably, I think, that's definitely my favorite Packers team that I've been able to watch, even though it was that COVID year. But, I mean, fire on all cylinders, offense, defense, having just a top team in the league that every time you had to play the Packers, you were worried.
You were worried.
Although
we took them.
Oh yeah,
we took them at home.
Yeah. Was that the year that
Dalvin got 3? I think that's the year Dalvin got 3.
I was thinking, was that the that 2020 year? Was that the year that when we played Lions and Packers, the Packers didn't lead for a single second in both games and beat you guys?
Yes.
Man.
Yes, that sucked. Yeah. I hated that.
Both games.
I hated that
Packers didn't
so
lead
much. No.
For a second, and they still won.
Yep.
Both game-winning kicks. But yeah, I would have to take that 2020 Packers team. I think the biggest thing with that 2015 Broncos team was,
dude, they had so much. They had so much going for them.
Peyton did not play well.
You're telling me that Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware do not eat Aaron Rodgers alive?
Oh, that's scary. That's scary. Biggest question mark though, and I'll ask this because it might change my answer, is with that 2020 Packers team, is Bakhtiari healthy?
So if Bakhtiari's healthy, yeah, we'll go that, because then that way it's the team that we want, because we want the best on best. Yeah. So then that's the way we'll do it. So if Bakhtiari's healthy, what way are you going?
I'm going that 2020 team by 3. I'll take the Packers. If like I said, Bakhtiari healthy, makes me feel a little bit better about D. Ware, Von Miller.
They would eat. They would eat it. They. I will let you. Even Aqib to. I'm pretty. Wait.
I don't know if Aqib was he there.
Was he on there?
I don't know. I can't remember if.
I don't remember he was on there. I don't think he was.
But I think the biggest difference is the two offenses. I think.
Okay, yeah,
the
and
offense is way more dynamic.
I did pick the wrong Denver team. I was thinking the 2013 where Peyton went 5 for 55.
Okay.
But anyways, we've already answered that.
Yeah.
So we we're digging up graves, we're digging up ghosts. We'll be fine. I think we'll survive. Okay, let me ask you this then.
All right.
Tyreek Hill situation.
Tyreek, man, crazy situation for game week 1.
Yes.
So, what'd you say? He was 130 miles an hour.
So because we talked about it a little bit off camera. So the story goes allegedly he was driving excessive speed, like 130, 100 something, at least 100 something is what I've heard, and then he was driving reckless as well. Okay. They pulled him over. Obviously, they pulled him out of the car. Excessive force, everything like that. Jonnu Smith, Calais Campbell were both detained as well. Nobody was arrested. That's the biggest thing. That's what they wanted to get across was nobody was arrested.
They all played.
Tyreek balled out.
Yeah.
Dog.
Was he second receiving yards? I believe.
By like 3 yards.
It was like 13.
It was like 10, 12, but whatever.
Yeah, no, crazy situation with Tyreek.
So, let me ask you this. Could it have been avoided?
100%.
Who, and you asked me this, so I'm going to flip it back on you, because you did ask me before, who escalated it?
I think the escalation aspect probably leans more towards the police.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, situation definitely could have been avoided.
Yes.
I brought up earlier when we were talking off camera about the Jordan Addison situations, Rashee Rice, and then going all the way back to Henry Ruggs. You've seen countless times now over the past 4 years
something like that
of these situations, high speed stuff like that. You got to slow down. I understand it's Miami. You got the nice car, you got the money, but you're still not above the law. Like, you got to slow down. You can't be driving excessively like that.
It's because I am guilty of it too. You have personally been there when I got a ticket, I am guilty of going too fast too. It's just,
at least yours wasn't excessive.
Mine wasn't like crazy. I think I was like 13 over, and I did it back to back. And then that's what she caught. I was going a little bit faster than that. But no, I think that
it was definitely excessive force on the police side.
Well, I mean, no, and I mean, there's no reason that two cops should be saying opposite things. Like the one to Jonnu Smith is saying leave. The other one's saying no, you're dealing with me. Yeah. And the other cop that's talking to Tyreek, he's knocking on the window, and then he's like, roll your window down because I said you so, or I'm going to take you out. Actually, you know what? We're just going to take you out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get the both sides of it, where it's like, as a police officer, you're trained to protect yourself and you're trained to look for these red flags.
Yeah.
On the Tyreek side, it's like, I'm not doing anything. Yes, I was going fast, but I'm not doing anything. Because, I mean, if in that situation when I got pulled over that I was pulled out of the police car, there's no real reason for me to be pulled out of. No. And so on the police side of it, I definitely see where it's like he's rolling his window back up. But, I mean, come on. You know who it is. It's a Ferrari or whatever, McLaren outside of Hard Rock going 100 miles an hour. Yeah. It's a player. And then let alone it's probably the best player on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. Like, come on. You know who it is. He's not going to do anything. He's got a game in an hour.
So do you think it was, like, kind of a show of force, or do you think that...
I think definitely there was a lot of ego involved. I mean, you look at the guy who originally has his body cam on, he's not pushing it, but then you've got these other guys just coming in on it, and so it's a little bit of an ego on both sides, just because Tyreek, I'm Tyreek Hill. I don't want to. I can do what I want, and he does for the most part. He does what he wants.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the norm for him. And police officers, they're the law. They do what they need to do, and if you don't comply, it's against the law.
Right.
Plain and simple. That is the law. So a lot of ego, a lot of overreactions on both sides. It's a tough situation, but
So another thing that I had
football.
asked you earlier was obviously being Tyreek Hill, having the past that he does. You see a lot of people on social media kind of going at Tyreek Hill about his past.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair that these people are going at him? Even with like the excessive force used. He was detained. He was on the ground. Didn't get arrested.
No.
Like, do you think it's fair for other people to kind of, I don't want to say like
judge him or
like judge
have
him,
that
like I don't want to say
prejudice
like wish
against him,
harm
or-
on him, but like are kind of happy to see.
All right, I like saying that he deserved it, or like, oh, this is what you get, something
right.
like that.
So like,
yeah,
just based on his past, do you think it's fair to say that like he deserves like a worse treatment than like what should have been used?
No, I mean, nobody deserves that. I mean, I think it's not surprising people feel that way. I mean, that is definitely the way society has gone, as far as, you're quick to judge. You're quick to jump to that assessment of somebody else. Do I think it's right? No. I mean, everybody deserves a second chance. I think that anybody can be changed, and I think that the things that he's done in his past, he's either dealing with now or he's already dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because if he's not learning his lesson, then that says more about him.
Yeah.
However, it's not up to somebody else to say this is what he got himself into. I mean, yeah, obviously, the decisions you make are going to define the life that you live. And I mean, in a workplace situation, you don't fire somebody fires themselves, because it's not the decisions that somebody else makes that affects you. It's the decisions that you make that affect you. And I think Tyreek's case, he's got tons of personal issues. He's got tons of things that are going on
Outside of football.
And it's like he's dealing with that on a day-to-day. So who am I to involve myself? And on the flip side, I mean, there's things that I've done in my past where it's like I don't want somebody judging me off of that, or saying,
100%.
he's got a speeding ticket. Of course he should learn his lesson. It's like, no, obviously I'm not going to learn my lesson in a day. I mean, I hope I do, and I have in the past, but it's like, I think everybody deserves an opportunity to make up for themselves. And me being the way I am, I believe that no matter what, you should offer that, to everybody until it starts to affect you. Like, let's say Tyreek killed somebody in that situation, then the consequences are a little bit different.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now,
So yeah, Tyreek in his post game was asked about the situation, and he called for that police officer to be fired. Do you think, knowing, kind of having that opinion of it being excessive force, do you think that he does deserve to be fired, or do you think that this was just something that was blown way out of proportion? Both sides, hopefully can resolve it.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna stand on what I just said, where it's, everybody deserves a second chance.
Right.
Now here's the caveat with that.
Yep.
Does he deserve discipline? Yes.
Yes, 100%. And I think, we talked about Tyreek, maybe thinking he's above the law, but I think that also needs to be kind of enforced within the police
law,
force.
yeah.
Starting off with, having that power,
Repercussions, yeah.
but like having a power trip and, turning a situation that should have gone a lot better into something that is now, national news.
Yeah, and my problem with that is how effective is what they're going to be. You know,
Right.
like
you get some paid leave, maybe
paid
2
leave.
2 weeks off.
Yep, he's gonna get a slap on the wrist. You're gonna
Right.
be on. You know, you were on thin ice, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
How effective is that? No, I mean,
What do you think? What do you think would be like a good discipline for, not just that cop, but like for cops that do choose to use a power trip?
oh, now we're going. Okay. What's one thing that everybody works for?
What do you mean? Money? Money.
Take some money off. You know, it's if
Cut that pay a little bit. Yeah.
Even in a sports world, like if you're not performing or if you do something, you're going to get a pay cut.
Right.
You know, and I think that's an outside of the box. It's a lot easier said than done, just because, I don't know how it works there, but as like someone who's salaried, if you're hearing like, oh, I'm going to get a pay deduction, you're probably going to quit.
Right.
Which, I mean, maybe that's the answer too. I mean,
Could be an eye opener.
Yeah, I mean, if the Miami police force says, hey, look, we're not going to fire you, we're not going to let you go, but you are going to get a deduction. You are going to lose, a little bit of your salary. You're going to lose a little bit of this. I think that definitely would be an eye opener.
Yeah.
And I think that would more fit the bill, just because in that situation, it really makes you think twice before you do something like that.
Right. So moving off Tyreek, another player that has kind of had a questionable offseason, Hassan Reddick. So getting traded from Philadelphia to the New York Jets. Doesn't show up. Doesn't show up to voluntary. Didn't show up to camp.
Yeah.
And missed the first game. Has received over $1 million in fines. Asked for a trade. Wants to be traded. What? Got traded out.
What's gonna work for this guy?
What is he looking for that he's not already getting? I mean, he's getting paid millions. He's on a phenomenal Jets defense, which is, I think, probably the first thing that I questioned when I'd seen all of this is, you're on a top defense. You're projected to be in the hunt in the playoffs,
like a contender.
right? You have, the old man, but still a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers.
I'm trying to think on who it's comparable to. Le'Veon Bell.
Do you think it's just a money situation? Or
I
do you
do.
think there's anything else?
No, I don't think it's about the Philly. I don't think it's about the Jets. I do think it's about money, because you look around the league, who is getting paid right now? Max Crosby, Nick Bosa, Chris Jones just got paid.
Yeah.
Yep, TJ Watt.
Yep.
So you've got these guys who are similar to him in a sense. Jalen Phillips just got paid last year. So you've got these guys who are similar, who are getting paid.
Right.
Chris Jones is in his 30s. TJ Watt. Yep. He's up there. So you've got these guys who are at that same threshold. And so what's different between Hassan and them? Well, I looked at his stats. I did a little bit of research.
Ooh, love
He
research.
had over 10 sacks last year. I think he had 12, if I'm not mistaken. But then before that, he's only maybe been above 10 once. And he's played 8 years in the league.
Right.
So
Production's definitely different, and that's what stands out.
yeah. And I mean, I think I heard it somewhere. Shannon Sharp yesterday when he was apologizing for his little thing. You pay the production, or you pay based off of how well you do.
Yeah.
And so the stats don't lie. Hassan is a good player. I think in Philly he was more of a role player, though. Mm-hmm. I think with Jalen Cardi.
Was he in Carolina before Philly?
That I don't know.
I want to say he was.
I'm not 100% sure. So You see the quarterback thing, and I talked about that, where it's like you have one good year, you have one good game, you get paid. I think he's feeling a little bit more like that, where he's like, "Hey, I did my part. I'm not playing until I get paid."
Right.
Because you don't know when your last snap's going to be. Ryan Shazier, you've got these horror stories, DeMar Hamlin, where it's like he could have died. So it's in his brain. There's a lot more to it than just ball. There's a lot more behind the dollar.
Yep.
Did you
by chance see what like his contract right now is?
I did not.
Okay, because I would love to see like what like when he signed his last contract to see like what
what the market was like, or where he was at on that list.
Well, because I think something maybe a little more comparable to that that the Vikings dealt with was Danielle Hunter. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe when he signed his contract, it was more of a front loaded, so he was getting paid more. His first couple years, and then that back end dropped off, and he was in a contract, wanted more money. They'd already paid him for more than
what he was doing,
right, and what he was doing.
And I've seen it, like Josh Allen's contract, for example. He's getting $60 million next year. The first 3 years, I think he got maybe 30 total.
Right.
So it's like that type of cap hit with his type of production isn't really in the cards for him. I hate to say it, like he's a great player, like he's a fixture on that defense, that Philly defense. He was. Nobody's going to pay you $60 million in 3 years, buddy. Like, nobody's going to pay you that type of money. Like, you might get a deal where it's like, $21-22 million a year, and they're going to say it's $21 million a year, but they're going to pay you $7 million next year. They're going to pay you $10 million a year after that. Backloaded to where it's 35, 40, and nobody's going to pay you that.
Right. So if he does get traded, right, do you see a team overpaying him on a longer contract, or do you think from this point on, do you think it's going to be, a 1 year deal solely based off production year to year?
What did Steph Diggs get? Because I think he's in the same boat where they'll buy out your contract right away, and then that way they don't have to re-sign it.
Is Diggs finishing off his Buffalo contract?
I think so. I think they bought out his contract.
I think he's a free agent.
Yeah, because they didn't re-sign him right away. I think they bought that. So I could see a team doing that. If a team did that, if a team did that, they're looking for a championship. It's a ship run, which is what New York wanted. And I don't think now with his character thing, I don't think it's
his value's plummeted.
Yeah,
like I think for the team, obviously you never want anything outside the building, but with Hassan, it's it's out there.
He's putting it out there,
right? And when it comes to trade value, when you have a disgruntled player that does not want to be there, obviously hasn't shown up, he's forfeiting millions of dollars to say, I want more, I will give up this money to get more. You're plummeting your trade value.
Yes.
And
and
the Jets
do you really want that in the locker room?
Right. And the Jets have held strong. They even put out a post on social media that like we're
not talking about it. Yeah, we're not going to do it. Like,
no, we fully expect him to be present. He has been. I don't know. I'm more on the Jet side on that one.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick, it's a name. It's something.
You're a guy that you'll get recognized, and you'll get some respect.
He's a good player. He's a good player, and I'm not gonna take that away from him.
Yeah, they're not gonna pay you though.
No, you can't. And
you can't demand it the way you're demanding it.
Right.
That's like the Ayuk thing. Yeah. Similar to that, like the only reason they're paying Ayuk right now is because they're this close to a Super Bowl.
Right.
Like the Jets, their chips are already in, buddy, and they're not in on you. So
to end the show,
ew.
got one team to talk about here.
Okay.
Now, we talked about them a little bit.
Who is it?
Like you like their quarterback.
Okay.
Houston Texans.
CJ.
CJ Stroud.
CJ. What do you want to know about him? I love that team. I do. I really do. I think.
Do you think that they, in a I would say a pretty weak division, right? Outside of obviously the Texans and Colts, Titans. They're a fun team.
Jacksonville more of like a ruffle your feathers type of team.
Right.
Though.
They're definitely one of those teams where it's like, yeah, they're probably going to go like 6-11, but like, a couple of those wins are going to be against like.
Oh yeah, division games are always going to be on the.
So do you buy into the Houston hype? Do you think CJ Stroud is that guy? Do you think that team has what it takes to get 1, maybe 2 playoff wins? Think they're a Super Bowl contender?
Yes, and here's why. So I'm looking at their schedule, and after this week, they have Chicago, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Buffalo, New England, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New York, and then Detroit. That's their first 10 games. I think they win. What did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gave them 7 out of those 10.
So we're going 7-3 to start.
7-3 to start.
Okay.
And here's why. So CJ Stroud is a different type of player, whereas he knows when to throw it, where to throw it, and he's got the arm to do it.
Yeah.
You look at Brock Purdy, similar type of guy. However, the talent isn't where CJ Stroud is.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud, but it's for good reason because the team they've built around him is what he needs.
That's especially adding
Joe Mixon, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, Laramie Tunzel, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Steph Diggs.
Having D'Amico there.
Yup.
Huge plus. Having not just a former NFL player, but a pretty damn good NFL
coach.
player.
Yeah. Well, dude, and what was I thinking about? I don't even remember what I was gonna say, but D'Amico, I just his style of coaching is just a player. Like he's like a different version of Dan Campbell.
Oh yeah.
Just like a guy for the players. Like he's just someone you want to win for.
Right.
Because he's there with you.
Oh yeah. And D'Amico, right after picking up CJ Stroud, the second pick, trade back up to the third pick to snag Will Anderson, probably the best defensive player in that draft.
Yes.
When they go out to get the best quarterback.
Back to back.
Yeah, they get the best quarterback in the draft. They get the best defensive player in the draft.
And what does that tell you as a player, like as a rookie? Like my coach came to get me.
Yeah.
Like my coach, who's a defensive minded coach, drafted me number 2 overall. Like I think that boosts your confidence a lot. Oh. Because was it his first year last year coaching them, or was it his second year? I want to say it was his first year coaching them.
Yeah, I'd have to check that. I'm not sure, but
because then it's like we're doing this together, like kind of like the Green Bay Packers, where it's like we're young, we're doing this together, and so that's one of the other reasons why I buy in so hard, because they're doing it together. Like you look at the Brady Belichick thing, like you look at the who am I thinking of?
Breeze Payton?
Yes. You look at something like that where it's like they're growing up together.
Yeah.
They're doing it together. They're building it together. It's not like a situation where one of them has been there forever. It's one of those where it's like, okay, this is how we want it. We're on the same page.
Yep.
Let's just go. And so that's why I buy into it really, really hard. I do think they'll be a deep playoff team. I think I have them going to the chip against Kansas City. I don't remember how I picked that one. I think I had, let me look.
Kansas City probably, right?
No, I actually had Cincinnati. I had Houston, Cincinnati, Philly, Dallas, and I had Philly and Cincinnati meeting up in the playoff or in the Super Bowl. And I think I changed that to Philly, Detroit, and then Houston, Kansas City.
Okay. I like that Houston team.
I do like that Houston.
I like that Houston team. I do, however, think I think they will win that division.
Yeah.
I I do think that out of the 4 division winners, I probably would say that just right now, not talking about the future, but I think like right now, I think Houston's probably the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Kansas City, you have a Buffalo team that tonight shown out that they're still going to be there. And then you have an absolute
whoever
race
comes
in the
out of the
AFC
north, yeah, whoever comes out of that north is battle tested.
Yeah, I mean that's a division that you can look at and say every team
could win a playoff game,
Yeah.
with the exception of Pittsburgh.
Right.
But Pittsburgh,
I still think
could
Pittsburgh
make the playoffs.
Right, I still could see all 4 of those teams being above 500 at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, well they were last year.
Exactly.
Tomlin still hasn't gone under 500. That's just
Yep.
crazy to me. But
Yeah, I do like that Houston team. I think it'll probably be another year or 2 before they really figure it out, just to
Hit their
see,
stride.
obviously with the Diggs acquisition, what's going to happen with that after this year. They shown what they could do with a young offense last year. You have Nico, Tank. Who else is there? John Mechie, I think, is there still. But once you really do figure out, the Stephon Diggs situation, what that offense is going to be with or without him, growing up a little bit, allowing D'Amico to, fully get into a couple seasons, getting comfortable. But I really do like that Houston team. I do think that they're probably looking at, I would say, a wild card win. I don't know if I would have them going past that. Maybe they can sneak one out in the divisional round against a team like Buffalo.
they'd have to get a good draw.
But that AFC, man, it's
top
that's
to
a
bottom,
dog
it's
fight.
a tough. Yeah, it's a tough. One. I mean, I would say like the top half teams are just, you could arrange them any which way, and then the bottom half are just gutters. Like they're just terrible. Whereas the NFC on the opposite end of it, it's like you've got Detroit, Philly, Dallas, Green Bay, San Francisco, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I'm excited for the season. I think it's going to be a good season. I think that there will be some surprises. Every year there is. I mean, you're never going to pay. Like, LA is a good team. Like, they went toe-to-toe with Detroit, and I love Detroit. And I'll admit, they are a good team. And Matthew Stafford healthy, with Cooper Kupp healthy, Puka, R.I.P. Puka, they're still a good team, too. So I think it's going to be a good season. I'm really excited for it.
We'll be covering it every week.
Hopefully we're pumping out 2 episodes a week. Stay tuned for any updates. Stay tuned for any live game watching, anything like that. Obviously we're gonna try to get our picks in before Sunday
Hopefully,
for sure.
yeah. Hopefully we're not late.
If anything, we'll do some quick picks on Thursday just to get them out there, just so y'all have something to entertain yourselves with. It's been fun. I've had fun today.
Yeah, great first episode.
Dude, I'm hyped up.
Yeah,
I'm hyped up for the season.
Dude, we talked about it. Actually doing it. It's an amazing feeling.
I love it.
Love it.
Peace.